Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I have a beautiful card in some pretty blues and purples, and it's using the new Hydrangea Hill suite that's in our January through June mini catalog on page 19. This suite comes with the stamp set, the Hydrangea Haven, and the Hydrangea dies, but also has in it gorgeous grape ribbon, mercury glass acetate with the Rococo Rose and the Highland Heather, pastel pearls in 4 different colors, the Seaside, the Highland, the Rococo, and the Gorgeous Grape, and a beautiful designer series paper. We're going to be using the Hydrangea Hill designer series paper on this card. I'm actually using this pattern here. All the subtlety of these muted flowers here creates a lot of dimension on the card. And so what we're going to do is take a quick peek at the Hydrangea Haven. You've got your beautiful bloom images with leaves. You've got double time stamping there. You can do, you can color into these. You can actually color these with your, of course, your blends or your watercolor pencils, but you can also, and also your blender pens as well. But you can also just stamp in your color. I love that, having all those different options. This has a really cool die in it that cuts out the solid hydrangea bloom. Now you can see here on this bloom, what's unique about it is it has these die cuts that are partially die cut into the actual cardstock, but don't die cut out. Like these flowers here, die cut out solid flower images. And you could actually layer those onto the bloom itself and then put that directly on the top of your stem and your leaves. So a lot of different things you can do. I just chose to use that pretty designer series paper, and just using that paper created a beautiful dimension to the card. So all of the measurements and the colors and the products I use are over on my blog, CindyLeeBDesigns.com. Just underneath the YouTube video, it says visit my blog here. Press that link, it'll take you right over to CindyLeeBDesigns.com. I'll have additional photos and little tidbits for you on making this card. So here we go. Let's start out with a Seaside Spray cardstock base, and that's just a half a sheet of our cardstock, and I cut it to 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4 on the 8.5 inch side. Now, as you can see on this card, I simply just cut off one upper part on a diagonal, the upper part of the card. Now I'm going to show you, and that's just a neat way of just adding a little bit of something to an otherwise, plain card. So here we go. What I do is I want to cut from the score line here at the top of the middle of the fold down to the lower right hand corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in, I'm going to put my cutting blade at the top, and I just want to line up into that groove right there at the top of the folded middle down to the lower right corner, and just make sure they're both in the groove. And then I will suggest, when you're using your trimmer, if you're using a guillotine, it's a lot easier to do. I mean, this is not easier, but you don't have to do this little trick. If you put your cutting blade down up at the top off the paper, or at the bottom off the paper, you tend to, let me see, I'm gonna actually show you. I was having trouble with I have a new phone, and it's a little bit heavier than my other one, and my camera kept falling on me, so I have a closer view for you today. But take your cutting blade into the middle of your paper, and then just cut up and back, because then you won't hit any resistance. So what we're gonna do is I put that down, and I'm gonna cut up and cut down, and then I've got my fun card. That was simple enough. You could also just draw a line and cut it with an X-Acto knife, or cut it with your scissors, but now you have something else fun to play with on another card. So that's just your card base. Now I notice I have a little bit of a, there we go, card base. So inside our card, we're just gonna put a 4 inch by 5 1/4 inch inside. And by doing that, as you notice on the card, your eye goes to the white border that is around the focal image on our card. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at this piece here. Now what I did with this piece Actually, I already had it adhered. So I just took a 4" by 5¼ inch piece of cardstock. Now what I did on this particular one is I ran the entire piece, so it would have been like this whole entire piece, ran through the Dainty Diamonds embossing folder. Love the Dainty Diamonds. Then I didn't use my trimmer because the integrity of the paper after you emboss could cause it to get a little bit raggedy. I did put this into my guillotine that just, you know, goes, your guillotine is the kind of slash right down with your blade, and it was a lot easier. But I would suggest, and what I'm going to do if we do this card in a class, is I'm going to go ahead and cut this just the way I did on the front. Cut this into 2 triangles, then put each triangle in your embossing folder. So if you want to do it, just it might be hard to cut this with your trimmer because of the embossing that's on it, but you could use your guillotine and cut it, or you could just cut this into triangles and then put it into the embossing folder and run it through. And so we're going to put that on the outside of the card. Get some of my Stampin' seal. Here we go. Put that on the outside of the card. I was just looking for some way to like do some kind of fun thing, and I kind of thought, oh, what about just, you know, doing that corner down there? So then just kind of gauge your same amount of space, about 1/8 inch on the bottom and on the left side, and then this kind of all comes together. So you've got that triangle working there for you, and then I just die cut using the Stitch So Sweetly dies, the largest of the scalloped rectangle. And then we're just gonna, whoop, no, we aren't going to do that. We don't do that because it'll stick to the inside of the card, silly. Okay, so this piece of Whisper White, or actually Basic White now, who knows which one it is. I still have some Whisper White left, but it's 2.5 by 3 11/16, so that it fits in there with just the same amount of space the whole way around. So we can put that onto the inside of our Highland Heather scalloped rectangle. Hopefully my camera's not moving. I don't know if it's the weight of the camera or the arms on my stand. So believe it or not, I worked with it for about, I know, half an hour or 40 minutes trying to get it straight, and I don't know if I need 2 extra hands with me. So I'm gonna have to get Jim to help me get it straight. So that is actually going to go onto the middle of our card, but I want to put this white on first so that my eye can gauge the center of the card. But we can set that, no, we're not going to set it aside. We're going to go ahead and build our bloom here. So what I did with the die here is I cut out the entire bloom here, and then I'm just going to cut off the top. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and I'm going to pop off that, because there are little holes here in this and you don't want to see the green coming through. So let's get some of our, this was a little tricky too because it's so thin. So I'm just going to put a little bit of our Tombow once I get it going for myself. You know how it is with the Tombow glue. Doesn't want to cooperate with me now. Of course, during a video, it doesn't want to cooperate. Let me grab another one. Get some glue. Okay, so I got some glue going here. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of my Tombow glue. Gosh, this is pretty close up, guys. Sorry about the difference of the video here. It's just all I could do to get this stand to work today. You ever have just one of those days? I just thought this is going to be easy peasy, get things going here, and then this camera issue. Okay, so I'm going to bring out my craft mat so I don't mess up my work surface here. And then I just want to layer this onto the old olive. There we go. Just gives it a nice dimension there. I used Old Olive and I used Pear Pizzazz on that. So you've got your stem and your leaves, and you've got that dimension with that lacy die. And then I'm going to put that right on the white. Put a little glue there, a little there, and just put that in the middle of my white. Now, where did the card go to? Where is it hiding? Oh, where did I put that card? I bet it's sticking to the bottom of my trimmer. No. Oh, there it is. I need my cheat sheet, guys. Okay, so we're just gonna put that, and I'm gonna like put it a little bit off of the, there we go. We're just gonna put that onto there, and then like I said, we're going to put this bloom up here on the card. Now, what I found that I wanted to do here is I want to put glue in the middle of where the holes are for the blooms. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put on here. Now this one I used white pearls. This one I think I'm going to try our metallic pearls. So I'm going to pick up these metallic pearls, and I think it's 15 of them. And the metallic really looks nice nice on here because, excuse me, that silver is just kind of like a really pretty muted, kind of looks like the pearls are like they turn the blue or the purple that you want. And it does take a bit of time to get these on, and it does take a bit of pearls, and that's why I like these, because you get like so many of these pearls in your metallic pearls. I think there's like 300 of them in a pack, and you can get gold and silver, and so it's a really good value, and then you always have them. So I could have, there we go. Yeah, I really want to play around with putting all these little blooms onto a card too. And the reason why I'm putting these pearls on first is I'm going to put glue on the back where the holes are, and it's kind of going to be where the pearls are. So then I know that I'm not going to have like glue on one of the petals that has to be popped out. Because if I just kind of start going willy-nilly with little drops of glue on the back of this bloom that has the die cut, partial die cuts in it, then I'm going to maybe risk one of these partials being stuck down and not being able to pull it up. So we're just going to, I love this little take your pick tool for getting things off there, but these are some little buggers here. So let's put that one there. There, get another one. Ah, they're flying everywhere. There we go. See? This happens to us all, even on video. Okay, so there we go, another pearl. We have a couple more to go. Like I said, I think it's 14 or 15 pearls on there. Another one. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more. These little pearls. Come on, I am being a little cautious here so they don't go flying on me. But I really love the difference in the white pearls and these metallic ones. These metallic ones are just beautiful. They just, like I said, take on the color that it's near. Okay, you would think the white pearls would do that, but the white ones really do stand out as white. But it seems to me these silver ones, like if I put them down with, you know, pinks, they kind of turn a pinky color. Sorry about the tediousness of this, but it's all worth it because it really does look really pretty when you're done. So one more here. Come on, little guy. Yes, I got to see my little granddaughter and hold her for the first time yesterday. I was so excited. So we've got all our little pearls covered, right? Yep, this one goes over here. He kind of popped over a little bit. Okay, and like I said, the reason why we wanted to do that is now we can turn our bloom over, and I'm just going to take my glue and I'm gonna put it right where the circles are, where those little die cut circles were die cut out. There we go. Just little dots here, right? And one here. Da, 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 da. Well, one right here. Kind of funny, it looks like I used like that. Okay, so now I can put my bloom on, really gently pat it down. But now the secret is getting these little pieces. Now I can pull them up. So I can pull each one of these blooms up on the designer series paper. And I could actually leave that. I'm gonna leave it there to just get nice and solidly adhered, because if it's not totally adhered yet, I'm just gonna be fighting against myself. So, but look how pretty that turns out with all those little blooms picked up, the partial die cuts. Okay, so now that I have that, I can work on the inside of my card. Now what I did on the inside is I stamped the bloom with the leaves. Okay, so what we're gonna do is do that. I have a little piece of scratch paper here because I'm gonna go a little bit off of the card. So what we're gonna do is take that big bloom and we're gonna use some Memento Black. And we're just going to ink up our bloom. And we're gonna put that right here on the inside of the card, knowing that that triangle is gonna cover that. Oh, look at that. But that happens. So let's just see, can I fix that? I'm going to try. I'm gonna flip that over. Normally I would just go ahead and do, I got lucky that you can't see that. It's such a fine line that I'm not seeing it through the card. So let's just do that one more time and make sure I put the right pressure to get that whole bloom on there. But now I think I have the bloom up too high. Don't know if it's gonna be covered. Let's just call this the Cindy. Yeah, it'll be covered because you have this big thing. It doesn't have to be covered by the triangle, silly. Okay. Okay, so there we go. We're still gonna save our little scratch paper because what we're gonna do is we are going to put our leaves on and we're gonna use some Pear Pizzazz for that. Though I'm just sitting here thinking, oh, I see a little fuzz on here on my stamp from when who knows where it came from. But I don't want to mess up the, okay, so there we go. So I'm going to do some Pear Pizzazz. And these stamps have that kind of mottled, subtle look to them. You're just gonna line it up and it's not gonna be perfect. So don't fight yourself on this. I just line up the stem and then the leaves kind of fall in, but they're not perfect, okay? Keep repeating to yourself, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? That's what I'm gonna have to get off like this video and say, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect. Ooh, I got a lot of fuzz going on around here. Okay, so now we're gonna do a Highland Heather bloom here, and that's the same thing with this one. It's not totally perfect when you put it down, because I kept trying it. I'm gonna see here if I can get it to where I color it all. We'll see. Okay, we've got our Highland Heather bloom. Okay, and see, like I've done about 5 of these, and at some point each one of them is pop, and I've played around with it, but who knows, maybe you watch another video and somebody has figured out that trick. Now notice how dark it stamps, but how much it lightens up whenever it dries. So the thing I did here is I just stamped "You Make Me Smile." Now, where is "You Make Me Smile"? Here it is. Now, because I'm using this more fine detailed font, I did get out my little Stampin' spots. Now you can buy these in the back of the catalog where the inks are. We have a Stampin' spot, and I know Gorgeous Grape is one of the colors in it, kind of some of the brights, so you can actually get some of these. It's not the whole color collection, like the brights, the subtles, regals, but you can get some assorted ones, and they're really common, you know, colors you'll use a lot. But you also get them in your paper pumpkins, and that's where I've built up a great supply. Paper pumpkin's a great way to get each month really great value, because you're getting an exclusive stamp set, you're getting a spot in there, and I've really built up a nice collection of spots. And they're wonderful using with your Stamparatus because they're smaller and you can kind of get a little around them. So I'm going to put this "You Make Me Smile." Now this, as you can see, you're going to have, you want to kind of look at your card. I don't want to have it out there too much because then you're going to see it there. So I'm going to kind of tuck it right in here, and I'm actually going to put a little more Gorgeous Grape on here. I'm going to kind of put it, because it's a darker purple, I can kind of go into the bloom. So I'm going to just put it right there on this card, because I did my bloom over a little to the right more than I did on my first card. So I'm just going to make sure I got that okay. And see, you can see, because it's darker, it could go over there. And then we're just going to pop that into the inside of our card. Get my Stampin' Seal started. I just opened up this one, so okay, a little bit here. Okay, now we're going to put that on the inside of the card, just getting a nice border that's going to show around the top, bottom, and the right side. So you kind of want it to be, there we go. So now you can see that's covered up, and we can put on that focal image there. That focal image is going to go on there. And see, it's a lot easier to put this on at the end here, because now your eye can see all the white. Okay, little doodads there. And then I'm just going to put my Stampin' Seal directly on my card, because I know exactly where it's going to go. Then I'm not going to run, if I put it on the back of the card, I might run the risk of, oh, I got a little rip there, a tear. I might run the risk of getting it up a little too far. So I'm going to be putting that on. It's like you can't really, these don't really line up perfectly for me, the little corners. Oh gosh, I have so many little, okay, let's pop that. Maybe I can get it. There we go. Now we'll just adhere that down. And then I do find my I love my Take Your Pick tool, but I find that my old paper piercer has a little bit sharper of a tip, and it's a little easier to get these little flowers picked up here. And then you just pop up all these little blooms now that they've had time to dry. And of course that glue is down in the middle on the behind where we put the pearls. So we just, now we could sit here all day and you could watch me, but it is really, I think it's because I'm doing a video that it's just taking so long to do. But you just pop up all these little blooms and you get this great detailed of these blooms on here. Now for the sentiment on this one, I used 2 different sentiments that are in the set, and I just layered them one on top of the other, "For you with love." That meant the inside of the card could say anything. Well, this one I just am putting on here, I appreciate all the little things you do. Okay, and that was cut out with this cute die there. So I'm just gonna pop 2 dimensionals on there. And I just looked at my camera. It looks like it totally bent down. Oh my gosh, girls and guys that are watching. Okay, now, did I put, I gotta make sure that that doesn't come over onto the inside of the card, so I'm gonna just pop it right there. And we've finished the card. There you go. I love this with these flowers popped up there. So let's straighten the camera. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.